Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Monday, it's January 8th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And really, this is just a range day. You can see the resistance up here at the top. Um, Once we reach that level again, we couldn't get above it. You can see that. That was the overnight high right here. And we never could, we actually breached it. We never closed above that today. So, and the overnight lows became the lows, and really we spent all day just trending back up there to it. But that's not uh, that wouldn't be to be unexpected, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Simply because this market's been in a longer term uptrend. So um, even though there wasn't a lot of strong buying today, uh, people are still buying this thing. Nobody wants to sell it off. Basically, is probably the issue. So even though it's a range day, we spent really the whole trading day in an uptrend. You can see we started trending up here. It was a little bit sideways, but notice here, I'll talk about this a little bit more, but notice how we're making higher lows every time. And really, except for that double top right there, we were making higher highs all through here as well. And so really from the open, we sold off just a little bit, and then we trended up the entire day, and we were still trending up into the 2 o'clock hour. We went flat that last hour up here, but into the 2 o'clock hour we were still trending up. Um, so really this was an uptrend. But anyway, let's talk about the trades. And there weren't very many today, so it won't take long. Uh, First trade I saw was just after 7 o'clock, about 7:30 or so. Notice we're working down. We get a break, two legs down to a new low. Then we get a higher low here, a real nice bullish bar with a higher low. And notice how we're still a long way away from the EMA. That's a great place to enter. I marked it green because this was a pretty big, a pretty strong downtrend. You do have one leg that has two legs in it, then a little two-legged correction, then another leg. And I believe we got a bit more than a measured move as well. You can see that we got maybe a point more than a measured move, so we were really kind of overdone there. But that, anytime you're trying to pick bottoms, um, you're gambling. So that's the reason I made this one green. But you can see that low and then a higher low and a very bullish bar. And there's still a good bit of room to the EMA. So we're overdue to come back to it. The better trade was to wait on this double test of this level. Really another higher low double bottom there and another very bullish bar. I like that one better. And of course that works back up to the highs. And it's tempting to go short here. You probably need a double test, which doesn't come here. You get a lower high here, but look how you're going sideways. Even though it works, I don't think you want to go short there. And then it drops down, and it really kind of confirms this trend line. It was really, I really almost don't want to say it confirms that trend line because you really needed this to set the trend line. Um, I mean, just to give you a clue, like I was looking at like this, and it looks like it overshot it right there. You can see it, that still comes into play a little bit up through there. So you really didn't have this trend line to help you. You just had a higher low with another bullish bar and what looks like is a sideways market here. So I like that one to go long again. Uh, and then we come back up, and you could treat this like a failed breakout. But notice what's happening here. The reason I didn't make this red, even though it would have worked, is you got a low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, and we just continue to make higher lows. There's a good sign when you see that you're probably going to break higher and go higher. So I was a little bit leery of any shorts through here. You could have considered either one of these longs as well, but it's still dangerous going long into that resistance. So I felt like you were better off to wait until we got a breakout pullback long and then another confirmation of that trend line. But you could have technically considered these. I probably should have marked them green, but I'm not crazy about them. This one's a failed second entry short. There's a new swing low here. Notice how this is lower than these previous ones. So first entry, second entry, and it is also a second entry long. So that's another reason to consider it. And we did break higher, and this is higher than those others too. Um, so you might have considered longs there, especially the fact that this confirmed that trend line. But this is really your signal bar. It's not very good, but it is a failed second entry short, so we don't care about the signal bar. The quality of signal bar does not matter because it's a trap, and the whole idea is to fool people. So you might have considered those two, but I think you were better off to wait on this breakout pullback long that pushed on higher again. It pulls back, it bounces right off the EMA and the trend line again, fairly bullish bar, and then it gives you another little higher high and a higher low and another bullish bar. At that point, um, you figure we're probably going, and this trend line's still in place, so we're probably at least going to here, and we may work our way on up to the other side. There was a little bit of concern that this might be the upper trend channel line, but you can see we were way above that here, and we pushed through it here, and you know, after you tested it multiple times, one actually did come back to the lower side here, but you tested it once and you made a higher low, you tested again, higher low, tested again, higher low. Again, that's a sign that we're probably going to push on through there. And so I was a little surprised to see it overshoot like this, but this was the real target up here, a measured move. So you get the overshoot here, but you don't want to be going short right in here after 2 o'clock really, especially when this has been strong. But you know, if this would have been before 2 o'clock, I probably would have said, hey, I'm willing to go short right here because of this big overshoot and then a double top and a little failed break higher that away from the EMA like that. So if it wasn't after 2 o'clock, I would have probably marked that one. But you got to be careful picking these highs and lows, so I'm definitely going to mark it green. But once you really understand this and you're pretty good at reading it, those can be some of your best trades. Um, like here, this turns out to be the low of the day. If you catch this, you probably wouldn't have caught a runner, but you still would have caught the low of the day. And same thing here and here. You would have caught the low of the day, probably wouldn't have caught a runner again. Unless you were given a little extra room. But a lot of people use this technique to swing trade, and if you are swing trading, you probably caught a nice move here. And if not, hopefully maybe on one of these others you caught you would have got a runner here for sure, and probably here because you probably wouldn't have been scalped out yet when it pulls back. So this is one I would probably add on. If you entered here, comes back again. If you weren't, I'd probably get in here. If not, I'd probably add on. So if you were already in. I like those because they're all bouncing off that shorter term trend line right up through there. And that was really it for the day. Just not a lot of entries. Most of your move came right before lunch, in that 11 o'clock hour, and then it just died off again, and not much happened this afternoon. But anyway, there's still some nice trades here, and again, these are close. You could argue for those, but you got to be careful going long into that resistance. And even the clue that you may go higher are these higher lows and that higher high in there. Although that one higher high is not enough really because this was a lower high. But the clue to kind of stay out of these shorts are these higher lows, and the clue to go longer again are these higher lows. So hope that makes sense. Study this if that doesn't, if you don't see that, study it until you do see it, because you will see this. You will see these kind of wedges. It looks like a wedge, but it's really not. It's a range, but you've also got a trend line working here, you got a trend line working here, and you got a resistance area working here, and it makes it look like a wedge. And you could draw a wedge there and see one. So. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm gonna go home and watch the ball game. If you're a college football fan, tonight's the biggest game of the year. So wrap up our college football season, which I am a huge college football fan. So I'm gonna go home and watch the game and wrap up our uh, football season for this year. But anyway, I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.